Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So we are learning how to configure and make a cluster computer using Ubuntu operating system. So this is the third video in that series. In the first two videos, we have learned how to install Ubuntu and then configure OpenSSH and then make the nodes and the login node and the compute nodes talk to each other, make their passwordless login to each other, and then we also set up the network file system in the second video. Now in the third video, the cluster is already set up. It can talk, the nodes can talk to each other, and we have to now install a queuing system for which I'm using Slurm, S-L-U-R-M. There are many different queuing systems you can use, but Slurm is basically free, and to me it's easy to set up and use. So queuing system actually takes a record of all the jobs people are running on your cluster. It can take all the jobs from all the users, and then it can decide automatically where to run that job and on which node it is there is a space to run the job, etc. So to install the Slurm, the first thing is we will use the authentication system, that is Munge, M-U-N-G-E. So it is necessary that there is a user of Munge and there is a user of Slurm, and they have consistent user ID and group ID across every node on the cluster. So that is why even before installing Slurm or Munge, we will create a user for Slurm and Munge on every node one by one. So this video is about the login node. I'll discuss how to install these things on login node. In the next video, I'll configure these things on the compute node. So the first thing is I'm going to export the Munge user with this command, and then I'll add a group for this user Munge with this following command, and the third thing is I'm gonna add the correct user ID and group ID for both these users, for this user and its group. So that is the command sudo useradd -m-c munge uid and group id emporium -t /var/lib munge -u $munge user -g munge -s /sbin /nologin munge. If I run this command, now the group ID and the ID is assigned, which will not change. The next thing is to export the Slurm user. The Munge user is created. Now I'm going to export Slurm user. So to Munge user, we have assigned the user ID 1001. To Slurm user, it's 1002. And we'll do it on every node to make sure that they have the same user ID and the group ID. So that will enable us to control the cluster using the Slurm queuing system. Then I'll add a group called Slurm, and then I'll add all these permissions to this group. Done. You can see these commands. I'll copy these commands to the description of the video as well for your ease, so that you don't have to type again and again. Now it is time to install Munge. First, this is the command sudo apt-get install -y. So we are already set it yes. It will ask us for yes later on, so better to tell it that we want to install it. You don't ask me again and again. Munge is installed. Then we will set the rights, the ownership, correct permission on the Munge key. There is a key that Munge uses. So we'll tell it that change ownership of Munge. This is the path. These are different paths where Munge will have access to. So to these folders, we are assigning the ownership to the user Munge. All right. and then setting the permissions on all these folders where we have given the permission, given the ownership to Munge. Now we have set the permissions so that only Munge can use these folders fully, and no other user can use the group. So the next step is now to copy the Munge key on every node from this login node so that it can be used across the cluster. And for that, I'll just do sudo scp, and then I'll tell it the location /etc/munge/munge key. So I was trying to press tab to complete the path, but actually we have set the permissions on this folder for only Munge. So I'm not Munge. My username is Hashmi, so I cannot use it. I cannot see the contents of the folder. So I'll just write down this complete command munge.key, and I'll copy it to /nfs/slurm. If I press enter, I hope it will be copied. So if I just ls/nfs/slurm, you can see that Munge key is lying there. And it's better to come here and assign the permissions 777 to munge.key. If we'll need to do it with sudo. Alright, so if I press LL now, you can see that on Munge .key, the owner is root, but everyone has read-write permissions. Alright, so we'll be able to copy it to the compute nodes from here now because the permissions are set on munge.key. Now we need to enable the Munge service on the login node with this command. And then after it is enabled, now sudo systemctl start Munge. We're going to start Munge service. It is started. So if it does nothing and gives no error, it means things are working on. So the next step is, I'll just clear it. The next step is installation of Slurm and its associated components on the login node. So there are two things. One is the Slurm database, and then the Slurm itself. So we need a database. You can use MySQL and other servers, though. I'll just use the MariaDB server. This is easy to set up, and it will have record of Slurm jobs and all the things. So it will contain a database for that. So if I run this command, you see that it will install MariaDB server and things required with it to run it completely. So MariaDB server is installed and set up. Next step is to install the Slurm database daemon. So for that, I'll just press some enter so that you can see the command easily. Sudo apt-get install slurm dbd. All right, press enter. It will install all these things to get Slurm working. So after installing Slurm database, now we are going to install Slurm itself. That the command for that is sudo apt-get install slurm wlm. So you can see that there are many other things with the slurm wlm. So we'll just install slurm-wlm. That is the correct thing for installing Slurm. So if I press enter, it is going to install Slurm now, and after that we are going to configure Slurm. So Slurm is installed. Now we have to set up the MySQL database, and for that we need to be root or the super user. I'm just pressing Control L to clear the screen, and now we do sudo dash I, sorry, it's dash L, I believe. Not working. The best command is su. Just put su and it will take you to the root user. Now you can see that I'm logged in as root. So we have to set up the Slurm account database now on the login node. So if I write MySQL, I will be entering the MariaDB server now. So here I can give it different commands. Just write down all these commands and copy them as they are, so that we don't have to uh, explain every single bit. Personally, frankly, I don't know much about MariaDB server. I just use it because it is needed to run the Slurm. So I'll just press enter, and then things will start working. After that, I'll run this command now, create database Slurm account database, and then write exit pi. That's all for the MariaDB server. The next step is now to configure the Slurm database backend. MariaDB server is installed. Now we have installed Slurm database and then Slurm WLM. So Slurm database will actually directly connect to the MariaDB server, and it will work in the background. So what I'll do is sudo make directory. I'll just make a directory. Actually, I am logged in as root, so I don't need actually to do the sudo command. If I simply say make this directory /etc/slurm llnl, it will do the job. And now next thing is we need to edit this file slurmdvd.conf. So that will be the configuration file of Slurm database, and I'll give you this text as well to paste. So these are different settings that you need to put in there, and here is the storage password. You can put another password if you want, and then simply Control O, Control X, and then exit. So I'll press Control O. It asks for the file name to write, and then Control X. So after that, this file is written, and then we'll configure the slurm.conf file. That is very important file. And for this one, you can visit the website. I'll just open the website and show you. You can actually make the file over here. This is a Slurm configurator tool. I'll just show you. So here you can put the cluster name and all the other settings, everything, and then submit. It will give you a conf file. Just put it in there or its contents, and you are good to go. So I'll just make the file myself. So etc, the same folder, slurm/llnl/slurm.conf. So that was slurm database.conf, now slurm.conf. So in slurm.conf, I have got all the contents from that generator. I'll put the contents over here, and then save it. I'm going to save it, Control X, and then we have created the necessary files. Now we have to create some folders where the Slurm files will be hosted. So let me just press some enters. So the first is /var/spool slurm control daemon, and then we will make sure that the owner of this folder is slurm and the group is also slurm, so it can easily write to this folder. And then we will set the permissions on this folder as 755 so that we can also read the contents of those folders. And then we will make another folder /var/log/slurm. Oh, it means that this directory already exists over there. It's all right. Now we will create some files over there. We'll just create empty files. For that, the command is touch. We're going to touch this file and it will be created over there without anything in that. So then we are going to touch some other files as well. This one, enter. And then now change the ownership of /var/log/slurm, this folder which we just tried to make, and give its ownership to SLURMUSER and SLURM group. Now we are going to set permissions on this SLURM folder as well, and it is done. So these commands all were actually to set up all the permissions so that SLURM can easily use these folders, etc. The next thing is to change the location of the PID files Slurm is going to write, because we have created several folders, and it will write the PID files over there. But by default, the location of these files is not the same as we want to use. So we will just edit this slurm controls.service file, which is located at this path. And we'll change the location of the PID file from this. Here you can see /run. So we will not put the file directly into run, but we have created another folder called slurm inside the run folder /run folder, where we want to save this file. I'll just save it, Control-O, Control-X. And then I need to change the Slurm database daemon service as well. And here you can see that I'll add Slurm to the location, Control-O, enter, Control-X. And the third thing is slurmed.service. So Slurm controlled, Slurm database daemon, slurmed, all these services, we need to change the location of the PID file to the correct one. So because we have assigned permissions to these folders, so we want Slurm to use these folders so that it doesn't have any problem writing its contents to these files. That's all right. The next step is to run the following command as root. We are actually root at the moment, so just not root, actually run the following command, echo C group mount point. You need to configure this C group. I don't know too much about this, but without running this command, I saw that Slurm doesn't work. So I'll just run this command. Now you can see if you test the configuration, slurmed-c, you can see that it will tell you the name of the node, total CPUs in it, and all the other details, including the real memory that we have actually put in the slurm.conf file. And if it is showing this, it means that things are working good, not too bad. So I'll just clear the screen to run some more commands, and then we are done with the login node. Now we need to run the Slurm services on the login node. I'll just reload the daemon to include all the updated files we have just updated. Now we will enable the Slurm database daemon and then start the Slurm database daemon. So it is enabled. Now start it, start the Slurm DVD. It's done. The next thing is to enable the Slurm control daemon, and then we start it as well. So Slurm control daemon is enabled. Now we start it. It is also started. If you want to see the status of the Slurm database daemon at this stage, we can see its status, and you can see that it is loaded and enabled. So after this, you can see the status of the controlled Slurm control daemon as well, which is enabled. So I'll just restart this login node so that all these services are working very well, and then we are good to go. And after this, we are going to install the Slurm on all the compute nodes. I'll make a video about one compute node, and you can do all the things as the same on the other compute nodes. Then we will test the cluster with different software at the end. I hope you would have learned how to set up the Slurm on login node and configure it completely. I'll see you in the next video where I'll try to explain how to set up Slurm on the computing nodes. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.